Hello and welcome to Resilience. I'm Katerina, someone who has been under pressure, chased belonging, burned out, and started over and over again more than once while wearing different hats and having different roles. The topic that we're exploring today is the art to say no. Two letters so easy to be said, but so difficult to be pronounced. We have learned that walking away means failure. But what if is that our no's lead us to the right yeses? What if our rejections are redirections for something that is out there for us in the way that it serves us? We have learned to consider breakups and personal or professional life as the worst thing that could potentially happen. But what if walking away from situations is actually what can lead us to what is really there for us? I was expecting that this episode would be related to freelancing, the values and how you choose your clients and so on. But as I am in the end of my in-person studies and the starting era of my writing thesis, is a moment of multiple changes, multiple realizations, and multiple no's. That they're not coming necessarily from the professional life, but the personal life, as they used to be very much interconnected for years. So last week I was having a workshop at London School of Economics related to careers and especially for professionals, which means that you already have 5 at least years of experience. And the topic was career pivoting. And I really loved that because we did a lot of different workshops and a lot of different activities to be able to identify where you're going to go, what keeps you behind, but also connect the body aspect and how do you show up in rooms and how to show up responsibly in rooms so that people notice you, but you're still authentic to yourself and in your authentic voice. And I loved it. And I had so many reflections during the session. And I'm going to share with you one of it that is very much related to what we say yes to and what we say no to. In particular, one exercise was the following: to basically write down all your family members and the job that they had. And on that, reflect what are the beliefs around work that you have developed throughout the years. It was not something that I haven't done, and it's not something that surprised me. But what surprised me was how these values have been navigating my life and how do not allow me to expand, or I find difficult to expand. And in some cases, they make very clear choices about me and who I am. What I want to share with you is mostly the women aspect and how I have been seeing my career and my role in life because of that. So all females in my family have been heavily dependent to the male for different reasons, that there's not a point to make it podcast about my family, but rather than to see a pattern, which is also related with culture. Because, for example, in Estonia, while I was living there, to have access to education or to have access to work for a woman, it is a given. But in Greece, this was not a given. My grandma didn't go to school. She had to stay home and she had to support the family and then get married and support the education of her kid and so on. So education has been something that most of them haven't been to, or if they have been, it was not something that it was actually either nurtured, encouraged, or they knew how to navigate. I'm the first person in 2 generations, at least, that has been through university and finished university. And maybe in the LSE environment is something that hasn't been the case, especially for people that are without scholarship. But that's where I come from. And what all the women did was to basically sacrifice their own dreams, their own aspirations, their own way of being to be able to raise a family and have kids and be able to navigate through life next to a person, regardless if this was their choice or not. I'm not here to judge and say, oh yes, they did that and this was bad, or they did that and this was good. I still see them as role models, and I still see them as inspiration of sacrifice, of commitment, and utilizing resources to support others. The reason I'm mentioning that is that I have caught myself doing exactly the same thing. Either that is in a job, work environment, or this in personal life. Either to do it or try to avoid it 100%. Why I'm bringing that is about the question of what weight do we carry on our shoulders and which are the things that we're actually saying yes and no. And of course, this is related with our primary values, what really matters to us and how do we actually express it. But in reality, there are some things that are come from our roots and our ancestors and some things that are about our descendants. If I could make a metaphor using the chakras, the first, the third are related to your roots and are related to your human existence and where do you come from? Who are the people and where do they stand in life? The fourth one, that is the heart, is the bridge, and the rest are connecting you to your spirituality and to your purpose in life. I have been so much connected for so many years with my spiritual one. What is my purpose in life, and try to fulfill it, mostly through work, but also in my interpersonal relationships and how do I show up. But the physical one, the one that is related to our roots, it was something that was always troubling me because I had to acknowledge what are my limitations and what is exactly the thing that holds me behind, but not in the sense that I miss things, but I have to address things and see what matters. And this Friday, having this workshop brought back this big responsibility towards my ancestors, and especially my female ancestors, of the inability that they had to choose a life that was theirs versus a life that it was worn to them, given the fact that I have much more resources and I have invested a lot in my resources, education, work, career, podcast, and whatever else you can imagine. And living abroad as well for almost a decade. Not almost, a decade. And how I'm willing to sacrifice that connection that I have with them. And I feel that many times these energies, if you like, these spirits, are still there to support what they couldn't fulfill. Because I'm the only one in the line who is able to do that. And you can ask me, okay, Katarina, how this is connected with entrepreneurship, how this is connected with business, how it's connected with anything outside of, your personal life. What I would say is that it is related because the values, the overarching values that we have in the clients that we're choosing, in the projects that we're choosing, in the work that we're doing, they're showing up. And these are the drivers for success or the things that are actually can rip us apart. I can talk for hours about experience that I had of misalignment of values in my teams and episodes that have happened that I didn't even believe that they happen in a professional environment. However, all these were happening when my motivation and reference point of action was coming from my spiritual side. The other three chakras, the ones that connect you with who are you and what's your purpose in life over here. And now that I'm trying to ground even more and see who are exactly the people, which are exactly the circumstances that I want to work with, and how to create a certain environment and connect it more with my human one. Where do I come from? What are the beliefs that I'm holding? And which narrative I would be proud to say to my descendants that I did. Because if I choose the path of sacrificing, overgiving, deny who I really am, will eventually lead to a situation that I will have shame for who I have become. The other path of carrying all these femininities within me is a path of pride. I have no idea where this is going to lead me professionally or personally, but what I know is that the fact that I'm here today, it was a decision that I have made 11 years ago while I was still studying social policy in Athens, and seeing the richness of my professors over there that have studied in LSE and the way that they were talking about LSE. This wouldn't stop me, even my wildest dreams, to come here. It took me 10 years. And I don't know for all the rest, the fulfillment of things that I had and I still have will take me much longer. But it's a life worth living, a life worth living with honesty that is important to me, with freedom that is important to me. And I have been judged and I have been coerced and I have been many times telling me that my way is not the right way in the industry. My way will not move me forward, that my way will not allow me to make business. I've even heard a thing last year that's not so much about business, and I shouldn't advise anyone about that because others know more than me. And when this was told to me, in 2 weeks ago, the approval from LSE to get into the program about social entrepreneurship. And I'm not saying that to brag, but what I'm trying to say is that the values that we have and the way that we view life is the one that they're giving us the life that we want. And sometimes this path might be lonely. Sometimes this path might have massive goodbyes, but also carries an honor about who you become and who you are. And by the end of our life, nobody is gonna remember how much hard working and how many weekends you have sacrificed. But what they will remember is how you show up in general. If you have read Gabor Mate's books or has seen any lectures about how the body stores trauma, and what he has been saying, that there is pain in each and every decision. You just have to choose the pain. You can choose the pain of repeat the cycle or have the pain to break a cycle. I would like to believe that we can all break cycles because this is not only personal, it's generational. Because we don't carry only ourselves, we carry those before us and we carry those ahead of us. And denying our responsibility to the future where there is hope and focusing on reproducing whatever was worn to us because we think we don't have any other alternative. It is something that I see a lot around me. I believe that it could be solved, but I don't see that at all. I see a lot of fear. I hope in the next generation that changes, but in my generation, this is something that has been reproduced and it's something that scares me. And I'm not saying that everybody has to be like me, but what I'm saying is that everyone needs to do their own evaluation about what do they carry, what they want to break and what they want to keep, to show up as a human and as a professional with dignity, with less shame, with pride of who we have become. And eventually things are gonna unfold in the way that they have to. Also, I'm not saying that this is an easy journey and that everybody is ready for that. But I believe entering the freelancing world and working as a unit, as an individual unit, it is important to know what exactly you stand for. And this was how I have been showing up in each and every situation in my life, outside of labels that this is work and this is life, because they are interconnected. And even if we would like to separate who we are in different situations, we can't. We are a reflection of others, we are a projection to others, and we adjust based on how others are. So being to show who you really are and all the different aspects is one of the biggest blessings in life. So I hope you share with someone that you really believe that they carry beauty, they carry courage, they carry wisdom, and they might be a little bit lost of how to utilize that. Thank you.